You're listening to the A Bit From Within podcast with Felicia Marty. When we're feeling bouncy and happy and lively and bright in our spirits, I do think that is a sign that we are in spiritual alignment. When we feel that, there is this innate sense of trust. The best part is that you don't feel like you have to have all the answers. I think that's where the mistake comes, is sometimes we think, if I have all the answers, then I can relax, then I can be lively, then I can be myself. But that's usually backwards. It's be yourself, be in alignment. It doesn't matter what happens next or how it's going to happen. You just feel like it doesn't matter because you're on your journey. Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today for a new episode of the A Bit From Within podcast. From how I've been hearing everybody has been feeling, how I've been feeling, I feel like we all just need a giant hug right now. I almost wish we could have a little kumbaya moment, put our arms around each other and just look into each other's eyes and be like, it's going to be okay. I feel like there is the season of change in a very real and tangible way is entering in. We just moved in astrology sun into the sign of Virgo. So we've said goodbye to Leo. We're now in Virgo. And Virgo is a mutable sign, which means that it has characteristics of being able to be very changeable, very being able to kind of go with the flow. Sometimes also characterized by being maybe not as reliable or a little bit more uncommitted. And I feel like you can feel that in the air right now. And it's always interesting because, I don't have kids, so going back to school or getting people back into school is not part of the August life for me. But even as a person who doesn't have that, I can feel it in the air and the energy around me, right? So whether I have friends who have kids going back to school and I see all their posts on Facebook, or whether you're just walking down the street and you can see the tempo change in the world. I was in the Starbucks drive-thru the other day, and usually we're sitting there for at least 15 minutes because it's very busy the times we go. And we were able to go right through. And I said to the barista, I was like, I feel a little bad about being here right now while you guys are actually slow. And she's like, yeah, ever since school started, our seasons or our busy time has changed. And I thought, oh, that's right. That's so interesting. So you can kind of feel that tempo change. And even with just the commitment, the reorganization of the day, that might feel a little different. There's also a capacity change that happens as well. So I know for people with kids in school, it's right now might not be the best time to think about all the other commitments that you want to add on. It's maybe more about building a barrier of protection around yourself. And that's something I can relate to a lot too right now because, again, mine doesn't have to do with going back to school, but I'm heading into the busiest time for my business. From about this weekend until middle of October, it is going to be the very busiest that we've been all year. And I'm going to have to make some changes too. And that's actually something that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about. One, just from a logistical perspective, really trying to wrap my mind around the details of it. But two, also from this perspective of the way I've went into it initially was that I was putting so much pressure on myself to be able to do it all, along with everything else that I do and do it all flawlessly. And the truth is, if I hold myself to that expectation, not only will I not succeed, but I will be a mess while doing it. And that is where I can really feel my self-growth right now, is that I don't want to do that to myself. I actually want to give myself a shot at finding pockets of peace and moments of balance throughout it. And of course, I'm going to still have a lot to get done, but I am just really starting to feel myself really let go of the expectation that I have to do it all and I have to be perfect. Now, I know that's going to pop up in other ways, but just the fact that I'm looking at that from a logistical perspective right now, heading into the busiest season, and I'm already thinking about what I can let go of or what I can ask for help with or move to somebody else's, service or whatever. Like, I'm a little bit proud of myself right now. And I'm really also focused on this word rest. So we, over the weekend, the A Bit From Within community, especially in the Patreon, we had a yoga class connect and yoga session. So basically what we do is we talk for the first 30 minutes on a topic, kind of share a bit from within if you choose to. Some people just like to listen. And then we practice a yoga class with a lot of those same ideas or things that you've kind of like stimulated in your brain, kind of letting it permeate as you flow through your practice. And the topic for this week was on rest and play. And what got me thinking about this originally was I saw a TikTok. You guys always know I'm always talking about TikTok, but I'm a really big TikTok fan. But I saw this TikTok that was a wife talking about how so many people argue about the household chores being 50-50. And she was like, and realistically, like, I actually know how to get stuff done around the house a lot faster than my husband. I know how to organize things a little bit better. Like, it would take him a lot longer. And so she's like, we let go of worrying about things around the house being 50-50, but what we focused on instead is the amount of rest/play that we're getting 50-50. And this concept blew my mind. I'm going to have to tag the creator who I found this just so you could actually watch her explain it. But it really did blow my mind because I feel like that is where a ton of the resentments comes from. And I've experienced that in my own life, that when I have been going all day, I've been pleasing other people, I've been getting stuff done around the house, I've got 12 things on my work agenda, I'm cruising through the day getting this done. And then if Dave has been spending 15 minutes on his phone doing nothing, that's when I get pissed off. If he was doing something that I deemed like working or like contributing, I wouldn't be pissed, right? Like when we have days that we're both kicking ass and like getting shit done, I feel on top of the world. I don't care how much I'm also putting in, or if we're both able to rest together, that makes me feel good. Or honestly, what it comes down to is like, am I being able to rest? But a lot of times I don't feel like I can rest. And that is not on him at all. Like, just speaking from my own personal situation. When I first heard this woman explain this, the first thing that I realized is I'm the one who doesn't choose to rest because I kind of make everything such a big important deal that only I can do, that I keep myself in that vicious cycle. And it would be very easy in my relationship to say, hey, I've been going all day and I need 30 minutes to have a break. It's my turn to have a break. You've been able to rest. Now it's my turn. So can you handle dinner? Or will you take care of the laundry? Or will you take the dog on a walk? You know, those kind of things. Like, I could ask for that and that would be very reasonable. But I don't always. And that's something that I have to take responsibility for in my relationship. But even more, I have to take responsibility for that as my own self as an individual. And so when I brought this up in our community kind of connect and yoga class, I was really thinking about how do people define that for themselves, and what does that transition into play or work look like? And so many people had such amazing thoughts on the subject. A couple of things that really stood out to me that I've just been thinking about since we closed that class is the idea that a lot of it is like the expectations you define in your head. So if you finish, your work week and you go into your next day and you're like, okay, now I have to do the weekend. I have to get this, and this done. Like, you're going to stay in that mode a lot longer. But what if you gave yourself like your first day off that week to be like, this is my day that I don't have to do anything, right? Like, this is my day where I can wake up slowly, I can drink a cup of coffee, I can go for a walk, I can read a book for a little bit. Maybe I'm sitting in the hammock, maybe I'm looking at the birds. I'm using a lot of these examples from the person who shared this in the community. But I really liked that. I liked this idea of like, this is transitional space where you're taking the pressure off of yourself. And as I started thinking about this since Sunday, I was thinking about how that is actually a practice. Just like with yoga, we call it a yoga practice because I think that is the place where you start to, in your mind, practice things that you can also practice off of the mat. Like focusing on your breath or being okay with things changing. These are things you face on your mat that you can take off your mat. And this idea of like that transitional day with these kind of expectations that there's no expectations, no pressure, actually turns into a practice that you can continue with you through the rest of your time off. So if you begin your weekend with, I need to get laundry done, or I need to get the floors mopped or whatever, it doesn't have to be this powering through, I'm going to be as productive as possible. I get caught in that. Like I catch myself all the time being like, I can't just get to a good endpoint and then go take a break and then come back to it. It's like, I have got this obsessive thing sometimes where I'm like, I have to get all the way to the end until I can completely cross this off my to-do list before I'll even let myself move on to something else. And as I've been thinking about this inside of me, I'm like, this is so unhealthy because I am not living a balanced life right now. And I'm not living a balanced day when I do that. And I'm not taking care of my body or my mind when I behave that way, when I choose to be obsessive in that way. It's like I kind of let that I've kind of let that competitive part of me that's like, I want to just win. I want to get stuff off my to-do list. I let that be the way I move through life. But then I'm not actually like enjoying things. And like I've been really conscious of this since Sunday, and I'm recording this on Tuesday. I've been actively trying to tell myself like, I'm going to eat lunch right now and I'm going to really enjoy it. I'm going to sit outside. I'm going to take some moments to actually assemble like a decent lunch. Like, it's so easy to walk into your kitchen, or you're packing your lunch and you just pack like a frozen dinner or a can of soup or something that's easy. You just make it really fast. But like today I chose instead, I was like, I'm going to pick like a couple of strawberries, a couple of celery, a couple of carrots. I'm going to get a boiled egg. And it felt kind of fun, and it filled me up really well. And when I was eating it, I felt like I could be very intentional with it and have this like really kind of intentional lunch. Hopefully that doesn't sound too silly, but it just felt really good for me. And I felt my shoulders come down a little bit. I found myself like whistling on my way up the stairs. And that's another thing I've noticed about myself lately is like when I've got a song in my head, or I'm whistling or singing or humming, that's usually a pretty good indicator for me that I'm in a good place. Like if I have too many days in a row where I'm not doing that, that means I'm pretty low or I'm pretty stressed out. And it's actually something I've been thinking about, like looking out, like what are those red flags that like I'm in going towards like a dark place. Like maybe you can even think of it as like a scale of 1 to 10. Like when I'm at a 1, I am super relaxed. I'm singing all the time. I'm oh God, I did not like think this through beforehand, so you have to bear with me. Maybe you're like picking out your clothes. Maybe you're getting ready in the day. Maybe you're doing your makeup. Just maybe it's not that. Maybe it's the opposite. But it's indicators for you that you are in a good place, doing the things that you love, that bring out the best in you, that you literally feel your energy light and bright and vibrant. And then on the other side of the scale would be like the 10, like how you are when you are your most stressed. And that might present as like depressed for you. Maybe it's you haven't talked to your friends in 5 days. You haven't reached out to anybody. You're not doing anything good for yourself. You haven't read your books, or you haven't taken a shower, or like you're really, really low. And then maybe there's things kind of along the way that let you know, like, okay, you're starting to slide towards the 5, like you're somewhere in between. Maybe you have actually defined it as like, okay, when I've gone 2 days without taking a shower or looking at myself or brushing my hair, and I haven't reached out to anybody, or I haven't laughed, that's when I know I need to do X. And you kind of create like an action plan for yourself that's like, okay, I'm going to call my best friend. I'm going to go take a shower, or maybe you take a bath. I'm going to pick up like daily, like meditation journal. I'm going to pick up a card that has some inspiration on it. I'm going to force myself kind of like on a rehabilitation plan to move yourself back towards the one side of things. And I kind of love that because it's fluid, right? Like we're constantly moving through transitions, whether we're going from like here in Colorado, it's or in the Northern Hemisphere, we're getting ready to go towards the darker time of year. The days are going to start to get shorter and shorter. We're going to all be moving towards the holidays. Maybe we can look back at our past and kind of, again, take inventory. What are some things that commonly happen for me around this time of year? And how can I help myself? That's something that I am glad I kind of started thinking about, and something my assistant helped remind me is I get very overwhelmed this time of year with people that come out of the woodwork looking for fall photos. And then and this is no like blame on anyone. If you're this person or if you've reached out to me, like don't stress about it. It's just, it is hard when people want like the best fall photos ever, and they have all these expectations of what it needs to look like and be like and what their outfits need to be like. And I just wish that we didn't have this thing around like the fall colors. I wish that people could feel as though they could get their pictures taken at any time of the year and not have to feel like they have to cram it all into one season. But that being said, the reason it stresses me out is because I feel like I have to say no to a lot of people, or I feel like I don't have the time to, if they need to reschedule because like the weather is bad that day, or let's say like a winter storm's come through early and then they don't have the fall colors. Like there just feels like there's so much pressure. And so one thing that we did early was we set our dates, like these are the dates we're open. Once they're filled, like it's done. It's not even an option. Like the option would be to look at later dates in the rest of the year. And once we kind of made that decision early enough, it's just really, so far, it's not even fall yet, but so far it has helped me keep my sanity. And I think that it likely will stay that way. But I'm such a people pleaser. I hate saying no to people. I hate knowing that like people who want to get their picture taken, they're ready to take that step because it's very courageous to do so. I hate thinking that they may like not get that when I feel like I should be able to fit it in. I should be able to do it. And it's like, no, especially this year, I really can't. And I'm glad that I'm thinking that way now because a lot of the dreams that I have for myself, especially as I get older and move into my next phase of life, I can't have those things if I don't start setting new expectations. Like, I get so much joy from connecting with the people in the Patreon and doing the Connect and yoga classes. Like, even though we've been doing them over Zoom, being able to be with community in that way and actually see people or hear them breathe, or even kind of from across the room on my little laptop screen, be able to see where they're at in their practice, like it means so much to me. And it's like my heart and my whole soul knows like I need to be doing that more often. I need to open myself back up through yoga, or I've always wanted to get my Pilates certification too. Like there's other things that I want to do besides run a photography business. Not that I want to let it go. It's just realistically, I'm not going to be able to shoot 30 weddings every year through my entire 30s. And gosh, as I said that, I got this like pang of sadness that I'm getting ready to come up on, next year will be my 10th year of doing wedding photography. And not that my days are numbered, right? Like I know that like I can continue to do it as much as I want to, but I really feel that natural transition that like my life is changing and what I want to do is changing. And it takes being willing to let go of what you were or how things are, how things have been, in order to have what you want. And it's a really hard process. It's also a really big give and take, right? Like you're going to have some moments where you feel closer to it and then you're going to backtrack a little bit. And honestly, that's in a lot of ways, that's how COVID affected us. Like I feel like I was on a closer trajectory of moving the business in one way, and then COVID happened and it kind of backed us up a little bit. But I also do feel like it kind of backed us up in a good way and redirected us to be able to capture a lot more of the video side of things. And I don't know that would have happened at least in the same way if it didn't go how it actually went. And doing the video stuff with Dave it's starting to become a lot more fun. Just as we figure out each other and we figure out more of what it looks like. It's definitely not easy. Going into business with your person that you live with is not easy. It's not for everyone, but it feels nice to find those sweet spots with Dave, for me personally. And, just as we start to think about our life, like I feel like some switch flipped inside of me where I just realized I'm like, for the past, I would say for the majority of our relationship, so almost 5 years, I have been so focused on the business, like, and for good reason. Like I'm proud of myself. Like in a lot of ways, I've shared this before. Like I didn't really have a lot of choices. Like I needed to make a living, and so I had to do what I had to do. But as we, move, I guess, into the future, something changed inside of me that was like, there is more that I want. Like, I cannot wait to have a family. I want to be able to go on a vacation with Dave. Like, we went on our road trip and that was like our first ever like vacation, just him and I, and that was this year. But I was like, that is crazy. Like, I want to live a life where like, we have this huge, framed map of the US that I got him for his birthday a couple years ago, and it has all of the NBA stadiums on it, like in like these little circles on the state where they are. And then inside, like I just put it in the back of the frame, but like there's stickers that like actually turn like the black and white stadium picture into like a colored sticker. So like when you go and visit it, you get to put a sticker there. And since 2018, when I got it for him, we've only had 2 stickers. We have Denver and we have Boston, and that's it. And I'm like, it's been almost 3 years. We haven't gone to any other arenas. Like this was something that was supposed to be really fun for us to kind of be able to pursue in our relationship. And I want to be able to do that. And I'm so tired of saying, this is something I want, but not actually taking any steps to do it. And it's almost like a little bit hard for me to admit that because, when it comes to my business, it's like when there are things that I want to do, I do them. And I'm kind of feeling a little bit of shame that I'm not like that with my life. Like what always has me saying no to myself? And, somebody else this weekend said something around like, as you get older, you just kind of learn like certain things just don't matter. And maybe that's it. Like maybe it's as I age, I'm just like, some of this shit that I've been worried about and so focused on and so driven about, it's just not that worth it. Like it's not worth it for my soul, for my spirit. So I feel like all that to be said is that I just feel like things are changing. And in this moment, I'm feeling like things are changing for the better, like that I've got this little beacon of light right now, this bit of illumination, like I can kind of see where I'm headed. I'm sure that will shift a little bit too. I know that, and remember, this is just a bit from within. There's other stuff going on beneath the surface. I mean, last night I had horrible dreams all night. Things I couldn't even describe because dreams don't make like literal sense, but essentially all of them had to do with the same theme of these terrible things happening and there was nothing I could do about it. Like things I could not control, like situations that were dire and urgent and literally my hands were tied behind my back. Well, no, not literally, but like, I guess figuratively. So I know that there is stress. I know that there is anxiety. And I know a lot of you are feeling that anxiety too. It's something that I think when we're feeling a lot of anxiety, it's more important than ever to get really honest with ourselves. And that's something that I have learned the hard way a lot in my life with my anxiety. And trust me, I don't have a total grip on it. Anxiety is really tough. But I often find that when I'm feeling a ton of anxiety, it's because I am not really being forthcoming with myself about what's bothering me. Like I'm trying to like stuff it down or move it to the side or say it's about one thing, but actually it's about something else. Or, a lot of anxiety comes from things you can't control. So you almost feel like you can't even talk about it because it doesn't matter. But even just being able to voice what like your primary concern is, I do think there's something about that helps. Have you ever experienced that where you're like, this is why I'm so stressed out about this thing? Like, whether it's COVID or traveling or things you've done, things you haven't done, things you're feeling. Just owning it and saying it can sometimes make a huge difference in your ability to sit with those feelings. And I think that's important. So for all of us that are, doing our best to get through this year and knowing that we're not out of the woods yet, we're still going through some stuff. Maybe it's just something that we can all do to just be present with ourselves. So if you have a moment, just, take a nice deep breath in, let it out and let those shoulders fall down and choose you. Like make your little Lunchable or cancel that meeting you have to go to or be willing to reschedule because it doesn't make sense for you. Understand your own capacity, honor it, and let your life be just as important as your work or your relationships or just whatever is out of balance in your life. Like, let yourself be open to finding that shift so that you can live a more high quality life, so that you can show up as that 1 on the scale from 1 to 10, that you can show up as yourself, and then you can have more good moments than bad moments, even if it's just by like 1, right? So I think that's it for today, you guys. I knew I needed to keep it a little bit on the shorter side just because there's a lot going on right now. I also feel like I talked very quickly, so hopefully that wasn't too stressful for you. But as always, I just want to say thank you for letting me share a little bit of what's been going on for me with you. I really hope that it resonates with you. And if it did, as it comes up in conversation with those who are like-minded like you, please let them know about my podcast. Please share what work I'm doing. And if you want to support the work that I'm doing, please check out the Patreon page. There are so many amazing gentle yoga classes and meditations for every topic, short ones, long ones. There's absolutely something there that can help support you with your self-care and with your self-growth and just trying to stay grounded through all the craziness. So check it out. And let's do, a card drawing before we close today. I've been getting the best cards from this deck. This is the Super Attractor deck from Gabrielle Bernstein. And all week, like, just the right cards have been popping up. So let's see what comes right now. The whole deck seems to want to be presenting itself. Let's try that again. Okay. When I live and act from a place of spiritual alignment, I can trust that everything is working out for me, even if I don't know when or how it will happen. That's kind of a big one, and it's actually a beautiful way of, I guess, kind of part of what I was trying to get to today is just this idea of like, when we are at that one in ourselves, when we are feeling bouncy and happy and lively and bright in our spirits, I do think that is a sign that we are in spiritual alignment. We're in a good place. And when we feel that, there is this innate sense of trust. And the best part is that you don't feel like you have to have all the answers. Like, I think that's where the mistake comes, is sometimes we think, if I have all the answers, then I can relax, then I can be lively, then I can be myself. But it's usually that's usually backwards. It's like, be yourself, be in alignment, trust your higher power. Like, whether you are a Christian or agnostic or Buddhist or Hindu or Jewish or whatever you are, if you are in a place of your own divine alignment, and you are in tune with yourself, and you are in that place of trust with the universe, it doesn't matter what happens next or how it's going to happen. You just feel like it doesn't matter because you're on your journey. And that's a really, really lovely place to be. So with that, until next time.